you guys a bit of a snapshot as to how we get to this point every year. So back end of the year, around October, September, we pretty much pulled together what we refer to as our scorecard for the year. And the way that that works is, as product managers, we sit down and determine what we believe the categories, the priorities are per category. Then we get buy-in from the relevant stakeholders. The scorecard gets signed off and is effectively ready for execution the following year. Now, for a product introduction or extension to actually make the scorecard, it really needs to meet one of three criteria, and that is IIT. It's something that we live and breathe at Hunter Douglas, and it stands for Innovation, Impact and Teamwork. Now, teamwork is something that we don't really think about that much, because as product managers, the reality is we stand up here, present these amazing products, but it takes a small army of people to bring the products ready to launch, and teamwork is just part and parcel of what we do. But impact and innovation, that is far more critical. It's critical to us, the business, and to you guys, because the reality is, if a product doesn't represent some sort of strategic or market impact, it doesn't make the scorecard. If it doesn't represent an innovation or an innovative feature, it won't make the scorecard. Everything that goes on that scorecard is impact and innovation, either or both. And this year we tackle everything from child safety to motorisation in the connected home to colour trends. We also have some products that are going to change our market landscape and continue to push the envelope further and further away from our competitors. We'll kick off with Duette, because in my opinion it screamed innovation and impact since its introduction about 31 years ago. So in 2010 we launched what we refer to internally as the Common Headrail. This took 5 different hardware systems and introduced them to one program. So we went with Ultra Glide, Light Rise, Easy Rise, Power Rise and Hardwired Motor Rise, all being fabricated individually on different headrails with no colour coordination, and we merged them onto the Common Headrail and we got colour coordination. It gave us a consistent look across 5 different lifting systems. 2 years on from that, we launched the next generation of the Common Headrail, Gen 2, which we refer to as Hartford. It gave us the program that you guys currently know for Duette, with the fabric covered valance, much easier installation with improved mounting brackets, and also the easy adjust levelling system. So 2017, where does Duette actually go from here? How can it actually evolve on from Hartford? Well, I'm really pleased to announce that this September we'll be launching the 3rd generation of the Common Headrail, which we refer to as Signature. Now, Signature's been in development in the US for the past 24 months, so it's been a long time coming for the guys in the US, and they launched it last June, July. There are a number of features and benefits of the Signature versus the Hartford program, and it elevates the products to that next level. When I was pulling together my presentation, I kind of struggled with the starting point, so I thought I'd go with the obvious, and that's the tactile and the aesthetic changes. You might not be able to see from the shade here, but you can see it on the slide. We've moved away from the fabric-covered valance, and we've moved away from the curved bottom rail, which is currently on the product. The headrail's been completely redesigned, and it actually mimics the shape of a honeycomb cell. So from the top of the shade to the bottom, it almost appears as though it's one fabric panel. When we moved away from the fabric-covered valance, we've introduced the textured matte finish that we launched with VertiGlide 2.0. What that allows is that matte finish, again, allows the fabric and headrail or hardware to blend together much better. So from the top of the shade all the way to the bottom, it creates a very seamless, unobtrusive finish. The bottom rail's also been redesigned. It's square and curved and much smaller, so it's very sleek and modern. And I know end caps aren't that critical to people and it's not that important, but the current Hartford end caps actually wrap around the headrail. These ones are flush mounted on the headrail and bottom rail, again providing a very clean finish from one end of the shade to the other. With the redesign of the bottom rail and the headrail, our stacking height's been reduced across all the products. So bottom up, top down, bottom up, and duo light, just to further enhance that unobtrusive look at the window. So that hardware change is kind of overriding across all 3 lifting systems. But if we tackle them individually, we'll kick off with PowerView, which has had a significant change. So this is Signature with PowerView, and I'm not sure if you guys will notice, and I'm hoping you actually don't notice. The end cap is actually colour coordinated, and the control button has been integrated into the end cap and is also colour coordinated, providing that seamless finish from one end of the shade to the other. There's a little programming light down here, which goes green when you're programming the shade, just for ease of programming. Again, it's about creating that really seamless finish from one end of the shade to the other. In terms of the functionality of PowerView, it's changed quite a fair bit as well. At the minute, if you're quoting up a PowerView product, when you're looking at limitations, they're width-based. So the wider the shade gets, the smaller the drop gets. And the size limitations overall are quite small. We are moving away from that style of limitation and introducing the same limitations that we have for Light Rise and Ultra Glide, which is a max width, max drop, and a max square metres. In conjunction with that, we've actually increased the limitations to pretty much mimic the current Easy Rise limitations. So that's pretty big for a PowerView product. So for example, on panache, which is one of our most popular fabrics, we can now go to about 8.4 square metres overall in a bottom-up shade. That's a huge movement away from what we currently have. The other exciting thing that we're launching with PowerView, and it's something that everyone's been kind of asking for over the last 12 months, is all the design options. So PowerView is going to launch with bottom-up, top-down, bottom-up, and duo-light, really rounding off that PowerView offer. The next big change, well, it's not that big, but it's kind of a really nice change, is to Light Rise. Light Rise is an interesting product for us. When we launched it, I think in 2012, we got feedback that, it's a little bit small, it only goes to 3 metres, 2.1 inch drop, it's limited applications. But year to date, it actually accounts for 19.5% of our mix. That's pretty huge for a product that does have a limited application. There wasn't all that much to change with the product. The biggest change is to its touch point, so the handle. It's completely integrated into the bottom rail, it's colour coordinated, and it's contoured just so it fits really snugly in the hand when raising and lowering the shade. And the key thing is that when you stand back with the colour coordination, the handle's quite unobtrusive and it's far more luxe looking now. The plastic handle that we currently have in comparison to this is kind of not as great. Sorry?
The new handle won't integrate on the old base rail?
No. You can't actually go from Hartford to Signature or vice versa. There's no retrofitting. The size of the headrail's changed, all the mechanisms inside have changed. The only thing that's remained the same is the shaft and the spools. So it's a huge change for us from an internal perspective.
That handle, what if it breaks? We've had one customer, believe it or not, break a handle about 3 times.
Yeah, these have been completely redesigned, and once they're on, they're screwed on, so you actually can't pull them off to snap them off.
Right.
Okay, so like PowerView, Ultra Glide got a significant change as well, and the change was twofold, focused on child safety and optimising operation of the product. First thing you'll notice is that we've actually moved away from the cord operation and introduced the wand. All wands are colour coordinated and they come in six standardised lengths. So what you guys now have across Signature is PowerView, which is cordless, Light Rise, which is cordless, and Ultra Glide, which is cordless as well, providing a completely cord-free child-safe lifting system across the Duette category. The other big change for the wand was to optimise operation. So most people who sell Ultra Glide, and most of you guys do because it accounts for about 48% of our volume, almost half of everything we do is Ultra Glide. When they're mounted quite high or in a narrow, tight reveal corner situation, re-engaging its mechanism can be quite tricky. You've kind of got to put it out. The wand actually allows you to do that quite seamlessly now. So if I lower the shade, it's basically like an on and off button. The pull cord assembly or the mechanism is clicked off. To engage it, I push down and I simply go to raise the shade. And the wand's been designed to have enough flex for you to push it down and raise it very seamlessly. So that's completely changed the interaction of Ultra Glide and the end consumer. The other big change going from cord to wand is how the wand is measured versus the cord. At the minute, when you guys order an Ultra Glide shade, if you don't specify the cord length, it's predetermined by our configuration. It's about 2/3 of the drop of the shade. This is slightly different. When measuring the wand length for the end consumer, which you guys will have to nominate on the order form, it's based on from the floor to the height of the headrail and kind of the height of the end consumer. Now, it doesn't have to be an exact science, but it's quite critical that the wand interacts with the consumer quite well. So, for example, with the shade at this height and my shoulder height, you can see the wand sits comfortably in my hand. I can raise the shade. I really don't have to do all that much. It's really easy for me to do. and it optimises operation. I'll just pop on a long one and I'll show you guys what happens when the wrong length is installed.
It's not magnetic like the one we saw.
No, that is very much under development at the minute. It's very easy to assemble, like to screw in and screw off the wand. And I keep forgetting all wands are colour coordinated as well. So basically what you guys can see now, it's not that I can't operate the shade, it's just that it's cumbersome and difficult. So I'm basically trying to raise the shade all the way from the bottom here, and it's awkward for me. If I go to lower it, I have to stand back a fair bit, and when I click it, this wand has too much flex in it. So the shade will function normally, there'll be no problems, but the end consumer experience won't be as functional as it would be with the right length wand. So you can see I've got to stand back and that happens. So what we've done in the price list is we've pulled together a bit of a guideline based on average mounting heights and put a recommendation in of the 6 wand lengths. Now, the reality is based on average height windows and what we know we sell at the minute, most of the lengths that we'll be fabricating with is at 300, 460 and the 610 to a lesser degree. The longer wands won't be that popular. So that kind of rounds off the base product offer for Signature, and the thing that I want you guys to walk away with, child safe and completely seamless finish from one end of the shades to the other. The other big change for us is to top down, bottom up and duo light. And I'll let these guys lower. So this is top down, bottom up in power view and top down up and duo light in power view. While they're lowering, I really want to point out how these motors actually work. They're sequential. What that actually means is that the bottom rails have to be lowered all the way to the bottom of the shade, so the full drop, for the moving rail to be able to be engaged. That's exactly how Light Rose operates. Ultra Glide is the only one at the minute that you can stack the bottom rail and moving rail in any position. The motor development is happening to change that in the US, but it's about 12 months away. So now to lower the moving rails, I basically use my little arrow buttons and off they go. The first thing you'll notice is that for a top down, which we don't have on display, but for the top down, bottom up, the fabric gasket has been eliminated completely. The purpose that it serves currently on Hartford is when the moving rail and the head rail come together, it acts as a light seal. Looking at this now, and when you stand back from a current Hartford product, having the cells dangle is a little bit obtrusive and a bit annoying. This completely eliminates that, providing a very clean finish at the head rail when the moving rail is lowered. So the light seal is actually integrated into the head rail, and it also features a little lip here, so when the moving rail comes together with the head rail, they nestle in together, providing complete light blockage. So it's a nice, neat change for the product. And this is duo light. Can anyone tell me what the difference is between this duo light and a Hartford duo light? Exactly right, there's no moving rail. This is probably one of the coolest things the guys in the US have developed. They've completely moved away from a moving rail, and you've got two panels of fabric. Sheer is always on top, translucent or block out on the bottom, and they've been bonded together to provide what appears to be one fabric panel floating on the window. It's a very clean, seamless finish. Even more clever is the fact that the moving rail is integrated into the first cell here. Currently on a duo light product, should the moving rail be skew-if, you can't easily adjust that because the cords are internal. With the integrated moving rail, you can actually slip the little key in here and you can easily adjust the shade if you need to. Like I said, this is one of the most exciting things I've seen come out of the US in a really long time, and I kind of knew where I wanted to end my presentation because it just has that wow factor. Outside of the product changes, there are some functional changes that we've gone through. The first thing is that when the US launched this in July last year, they launched Signature with PowerView, Light Rise and Ultra Glide, and they discontinued Standard Cord Lock and they discontinued Hartford Easy Rise. They are no longer offering any corded products in their Duette category in the US. They're first to market with this. Given they've been first to market with everything, it makes sense that they want to be market leaders in child safety. For us though, domestically, we know there will come a time when we have to discontinue our corded products, but we're not quite there yet. So what we're going to do is to make that transition a little bit more seamless and a little bit easier, we're going to maintain the standard cord lock product and the Hartford Easy Rise, so with the volants, with the living fabrics. So it'll give you guys a true affordable quality lifting system solution with entry-level fabrics. The next big change is to Duette. It is only going to be available with the classic fabrics, and it'll be a fully imported product while we work on locally fabricating it. The fabrication process to do the 2 bonded panels is quite extensive and quite complicated. We didn't want to hold back the launch, so we've decided to import it in the meantime while we work on local fabrication for next year. The other big change, as I was saying, was the way we build the products and the precision that's required in terms of the spacing and where the controls are located has changed completely, and it's a huge overhaul for us from a back-end perspective. But what it means is that fabric level with end caps will no longer be available. The other change we've undertaken, it's a bit of a simplification, is to our actual price list. The base grid will now be Ultra Glide and Light Rise, and how we've come to that is, if we look at Reception as a fabric range, it was essentially Reception standard cord lock pricing plus the Ultra Glide surcharge. We've whacked Light Rise in there to simplify it, even though that Light Rise sits above Ultra Glide at the minute, we've not taken that into account. Then we've streamlined what the upgrades are. So there's a PowerView one, there's Ultra Glide top down and top down bottom up, Duette, and then the PowerView upgrades for their design options as well. So we've gone from essentially, I think we had 8 surcharges to effectively 4. The other big change to Duette is a range review. We took the opportunity to do a complete overhaul of our fabric range because we undertook a hardware change as well, and we introduced new hardware colours to match the fabrics. And as Patricia covered off yesterday during the trend session, all the new launches that we have for you guys and the colour refreshes have taken into account those trends. I'm actually really excited to say that this year we're launching 2 new fabric ranges into the classic systems. The classic series, which are heavily focused on the trends and specifically to cool whites, crisp whites, and grey tones as well. The first fabric range is Aurora. Now, Aurora, in terms of its actual texture, is all about micropia. The fine detail, the fine refined detail in the linen print is actually really beautiful, and it has a nice sheen to it. The colour palette is very clean. It's got a beautiful grey, it's got a crisp white, and then it's got some warmer tones going through it. The coolest thing about Aurora is that it actually features a patented Illumicell. So if you think about current panache and Reception in translucent, the inner cell is fabric. This is a clear inner cell. What it does is it allows for light to filter through the shade a lot more. So whilst the others are more this is less, I think, less translucent? More translucent than the other ones, and because of the actual sheen on the fabric, when that light comes through, the shine is actually really, really beautiful. It's really lovely to see at a window. The other big introduction for us is the Elan fabric range. So we'll be launching 7 colours in the Elan fabric range, and Elan is actually quite beautiful for a couple of reasons. The first is the colour palette, which is heavily skewed towards greys and charcoals. This is Elan in volcanic ash, that's black onyx, that's Aurora, and that's pearl grey in Elan. So very, very beautiful colours. But when you guys come and look at Elan, it actually looks like a true fabric, which has been something that's hard to achieve on Duette, and it's got a nice linen texture through it and a nice sheen as well. It actually represents a true Duette fabric in my opinion. It's very beautiful. We've refreshed all the other existing colour palettes, and one of our new colours is Morning Fog in ash, so another nice grey. With any range refresh, we've actually got a new collection book that'll be coming out to you guys on the 25th of September. If you're on priority swatching, you'll automatically get it. If you're not on priority swatching, you'll need to order it through customer service. And you can come up and have a look once we wrap the session. But that's it for me for the minute. I'll hand over to Sandra, but before she kicks off, I'll get the boys to come up and turn this.